Welcome again. I'm Will Murtha, and welcome to part 3 in a 10-part series where me and my wife Jayne,
Hello.
also a coach and my business partner, and we're really going to be focusing today on Power Hour.
One of my favourite subjects.
And it's taken from Create Your Own Life Story, where I've listed a lot of tools in the book which are going to help you, the reader, the watcher, the listener, to deal with different parts of your life. Because as we know, there's in modern life, there's so much to deal with nowadays, isn't there?
It is. And what we tend to miss out are ourselves. We're always very busy looking after other people and their needs. That often with clients, when I'm doing one-to-ones, I ask them, what makes up their lives, what they're doing. And they talk about, work and family, and often the person they leave out is themselves. What do they do for themselves? So Power Hour is all about that.
Yeah. As James just said, one of the most important elements is to start the day right. And what we've done for the last 8 years since we set up our coaching business is that at the end of the year, we ask clients, what is the most effective tool, self-coaching tool that you've applied in your life? And consistently for the last 8 years, number one has always been journaling, which we're going to be doing in a separate video. And number two is constantly Power Hour. So, for those that haven't heard it before, Power Hour, what is it? Why is it so important? And what's the benefits? And I think, starting from the top, really, it's about starting the day as you mean to go on, isn't it? It's to make sure that you do not let the external world, the media, at the moment, as we record this, everything's going on in Ukraine. But, if you let the outside world, social media, emails, texts, if you let that in right at the first point of the day, so you basically, most of us haven't got alarm clocks nowadays, have we? We've got mobile phones that we use as alarms. And the first thing for a lot of people, they press the snooze button or the sleep button and straight into their media.
Yeah, and their brain waves are still relaxed and they're absorbing all that kind of negativity. So it's not really the best scenario to begin your day with. So, for instance, Bill and I, we start our morning with a warm glass of lemon juice, honey, and ground ginger. And, that starts our system up in a very positive and kind, gentle way.
And I think the brain, if you imagine for the whole point of your life, that 6, 7, 8 hours, however many hours you get to sleep nowadays, your brain, it's the longest period it's gone without water. So of course it's like a sponge, it wants to, the first drink of the day is so important. And, the last thing we should be really putting into our bodies is caffeine or sugar. So, by that drink, first in the morning, it sort of hydrates the brain and it just kickstarts you off in the right space and place. Because, my analogy I'm always sharing with my clients about Power Hour is, as you know, Jayne, build your castle. And, my analogy is that, there are going to be enough challenges, enough cannonballs coming at you in the day. We know that. And what this first part of the day, now, when I say Power Hour, it could be quarter of an hour or 20 minutes if you haven't got a Power Hour. Obviously, the example is to try and build it up to an hour, because if you start as you mean to go on and you control and manage the first hour, you will have a significant better chance, won't you?
I totally agree with you, but I will interject here because I know a lot of people that I coach will say, but I've got to get the children ready for school. I've got to take the dog for a walk. I've got to do, but what Bill's suggesting is to do it more mindfully. Yes, you've got to get the children up, but perhaps if you got up 20 minutes earlier and made that 20 minutes valuable to yourself, it gets you in the better frame of mind.
Yeah. And the whole thing about build your castle is that those cannonballs will come at you. Those challenges are ready, primed, ready to come out of the darkness at you. But if you can build your castle and strengthen your castle, which is basically
Mm.
build your mindset,
Yeah.
you're going to have a better chance of dealing with anything that comes at you, aren't you?
Exactly. It's better to be up and bouncing at a +10 rather than a -5
Yeah.
when you've got all the negativity of the news and you know the world's worries. You know, what can you do about the world's worries?
Yeah.
You can't. You can send them love. You can, you know, you can hope for the best for people, but actually, what have you got control over?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
deal with you first.
So, you know, the whole thing in this power hour or power quarter of an hour, depending on what you and your life can allow for it. The thing is to, you know, you might have had a bad night's sleep, because we've noticed a lot of our clients the last few years with everything
Sleep
that's been
issues.
going on, they wake up with lots of nightmares, their sleep patterns are erratic. We've never seen anything like it for what we've seen with clients in the last 2 years, specifically. And, you know, people are waking up with a lot more bad mood, a lot more darker thoughts, you know, nightmares, and actually
What ifs?
and what ifs. And power hour is probably more important now than when, you know, when we first started teaching it sort of 8 years ago.
So, you know, let's look at the benefits of doing this, and the why of doing this. So, you know, we live in a 24/7 world. It's like living on a constant bullet train. And actually, we need to slow things down in order to taste things, smell things, live our lives rather than being lived by. You know, let us live through ourselves rather than the outside world to live our lives for us. So, you know, it's finding, you know, taking the wheel yourself by, you know, what makes me feel good. And it's all these small, consistent practices and steps that actually make you feel a bit better about yourself. So it then actually makes you feel better about how you handle the world.
Yeah. And I think what I like to try and get clients to do, and by the way, what we do as well,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
there's no point in coaching this stuff if we don't do it ourselves. But it's really this, try to imagine that it's like this first 15, 20 minutes or an hour, if you've really got it, to build your inner world and strengthen your inner world. Because if you strengthen your inner castle, basically build your personal power, you know, things are not going to hurt you so much. They're not going to affect you so much. So you're basically trying to ring fence this power hour first thing in the morning, to not let the external world in, because the external world's going to have a piece of you throughout the day anyway. There's those texts waiting for you, those emails are waiting for you, those demanding phone calls, those dramas with your friend ringing you. They're already planned out at some point in the day that they're going to come on your doorstep. So, you know, give yourself, like Jayne says, give yourself, well, self-compassion, isn't it? Give yourself time and love and attention to just, step into yourself, center yourself, calm yourself. And we're just going to go through the practices now of what we and many of our clients do.
Yeah. So I've already said about the warm water. We also, we meditate. And so we have a 20-minute meditation at the beginning of our day. And that really sets us up for the day. We will write our journals. And so that, you know, you can offload, you know, maybe some of the dreams you've had in the night or things that have come to you. I quite often, first thing in the morning, get lines of poetry or lines of a song. And either that poetry is mine or, you know, that song will have a meaning. You know, you sometimes get a song in your head, don't you? So it's finding things that you enjoy doing. So, you know, if you're walking your dog, you love your dog, instead of sort of putting your coat on and shoulders up and start thinking about work, look around you. Take in the biofeedback of what the trees and the plants, and, you know, really look at things, really smell things. You know, use your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your touch, your taste, to experience the world, bring that outside world in, but in a more relaxed way, rather than, you know, go for a walk and all you're thinking about is, you know, have I got the football kit ready for Darren's football match? Have I this? Have I that? You know, really be in the moment. It's about being present. So walking is one of the things. Listening to music. Listening to music often triggers memories. So if you want to be in a happy mood, make yourself up a playlist of all the happy songs of the times, parties, things gone by that you've enjoyed. If you're feeling angry, you can make a list of songs that you can shout and scream and like some rock or something. Some Meatloaf is one of the things groups I use, or Alison Morissette. If I'm angry, she's done some really good songs on that, which I'd recommend. So it's getting in touch with your feelings as you as a person. Reading. Some people like to read to switch off. So it's sort of switching off sometimes the outside world we need. And just relaxing the brain, because when we relax the brain, we create more space in the brain and more ideas come through, don't they?
I would first of all like to say sorry to our neighbours at 6 o'clock in the morning for when Jayne does sing one of her angry songs, because no, she doesn't. Thankfully, she does it in her head, which is even better. But
usually in the car.
Yeah,
actually.
usually in the car. But really, I've got a list of other things as well. So try and think of it as like a bingo card, because you're going to approach every day for your power hour in a different manner, with a different mood, in a different mindset.
You're a different person on a different day.
You are every day, depending on what the chemicals that are in your body the day before, what kind of sleep you've had or not slept, the nightmares, it's different things for different people. You're really looking at trying to build a bingo card that works for you. For some people, it might be walking their dog. For some people, it might be grabbing a coffee and just looking out in the garden and having a 5-minute,
sitting in the sunshine.
Another one might be grabbing their journal, which we're going to be talking about in another podcast. And it might be write a list of things that you're grateful for, gratitude.
Yeah.
Because as we know in personal psychology, which is what we train with the ILM, gratitude is one of the most important things that we bring into our life, because no matter what's going on around us, all of us can name 2 or 3 things that are going well. And what you're trying to do is set your mind up for the day in the right space and place, basically mindset, so that you can approach the day on a +7.
Yes.
Rather than a -3.
Yes.
And like comedy for a lot, sometimes we'll watch comedy in bed, won't we, first thing in the morning, just to lift the spirits. Creativity is another one. People like to jot things down, they like to doodle, they like to just get that creativity out of them. And I think power hour could be, what do we call RAK, random acts of kindness. It might be send a few messages to people that are really struggling, because when you take it off of yourself and what you're going through and try and think of other people, it's called empathy and compassion, suddenly your woes don't feel so bad, do they?
No. It's giving yourself space, because I think we get so tight in our heads, we forget that we have this beating heart in our chest, and it's about the heart has a brain too. And it communicates, how our body feels to our brain. And so, it's getting ourselves more in alignment rather than just living the outside world all the time. We have to, combine our inner world with our outer world. So, there's a communication there. And we are finding different, as Bill said, a bingo card is a very good analogy, because we won't always feel in the same mood every day. So, and especially if you're in a mental fog, if you're feeling very stressed, it's not easy to reach for the same old thing. It just might not do. You might need to, go swimming. It might need to feel that cold water on your body in order to wake yourself up again. Because, what's happening when we're stressed is we're closing down and we're closing in on ourselves, and we're becoming very tight. And, the inner critic gets worse. Whereas, we need to develop our inner coach, that kind of voice, like, well, actually, what do I feel like doing in this moment? That's what I say to myself now. I don't sort of make myself go and do that. I say to myself, right, what is the best thing for me in this moment to do? And it might be picking up the phone and reaching out to talk to somebody about a problem I'm having, or, something else, like if I get the ironing done or the washing done now, I want to laugh, actually. I never iron. Bill's the ironer in our house. So that's just rubbish.
Thanks for
Trying to
telling.
make myself perfect here. And
Thanks for telling the whole world. Great. On the ironing king. Yeah.
But it's finding things that make your life easier in that moment.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about the inner world and the external world a lot. What we're really talking about is, if you imagine a line on the horizon, everything below the line is everything unseen. So it's thoughts, feelings, perceptions, beliefs. Everything above the line is, what you say to other people, what you do, it's what's seen by everyone else. But of course, most of us live our world in the darkness, don't we? With our thoughts and feelings that no one else, unless we express them, at least, unless we share them, no one knows about. So we're all going through this thing. So, build your power hour strong, build that castle first thing in the morning, and you are less susceptible for the outside world to pull your strings. And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Triggers. How many people do we know and we speak to, and some of them are friends and family, where the first thing they wake up with is the negativity of the news and the media and what's going on, and they're already frenzied within 5 or 10 minutes of waking up. And that is not the right day to, the right mindset.
That's setting your day. That's setting yourself up for the day in a kind of negative way. And and I appreciate busy mums and busy dads and busy people. You might not have the luxury of an hour, but if you can do 10 minutes or 20 minutes, that habitual practice, it becomes a good habit. And you might find other times of the day where you need to take a break, a 10-minute break or a 5-minute break. And people that smoke go outside now to have a smoke, but actually they're actually taking a break rather than the person. And I'm not condoning, it's not good for your health, but part of the pleasure of going outside is they're going outside. They're taking themselves away from their work and actually giving themselves a break. So it's these consistent practices done over time give good chemicals in your body chemistry. So they give you a dopamine hit when you're watching the children playing in the park. And, when you pet your dog or you cuddle a friend or your husband or something, it gives you the oxytocin cuddle chemical. And all of those running through your bloodstream is a hell of a lot better than constant adrenaline and cortisol that, give you headaches, make you wake in the middle of the night with palpitations. The body we need to be more in control and responsible for the chemistry set, which our bodies.
And that's a good way of thinking of it, just to round off now, is that, with Power Hour, you're trying to set your body up in a certain chemical way, because we know that when you've got good feel-good chemicals in your body,
you've got good energy.
Oxytocin, the cuddle hormone, dopamine, the reward.
You want to do more.
Yeah, but, when you start the day with adrenaline and cortisol, which is high anxiety, you're not going to, I love that face, by the way. And I hope the wind don't stick. And, but, you've got to start as you mean to go on. And what you're doing is really checking your internal state. That's what Power Hour is about. It's about getting your mind, and what I mean by mind is thoughts and feelings, because, I've always tried to sort of share with clients that there's basically 4 things you've got to pay attention to. And this is what we're going to mention in another video on the journal, is that there are 4 elements you've got to pay attention to. Stick to these. And if you set yourself up in the Power Hour, this will really line your day nicely. And that is, pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to your feelings, pay attention to your words. And what I mean by words is the words that you speak to yourself internally, self-talk, more so the words you say to others.
How you describe yourself.
How you describe yourself, and what the mindset you're in. Oh, how are you? Oh, it's been awful, isn't it, today? And, Debbie Downer, and, not.
Yeah, I'm a worrier, and I've always been a worrier.
Yeah, I never win on the lottery, and, and actually, so pay attention to the words. And then the 4th one is actions. So if you're looking at thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, pay attention to them to start with, and really see how your day is starting, because pretty much that's going to lay a roadmap down for the day, isn't it?
And if you do things for yourself and you value yourself by giving yourself time to make time for yourself, this is a framework of support, isn't it? It's a framework of support that actually you're being your own best friend. You know, you would say to a friend, oh, go and have a pamper day. Oh, do this for yourself, do that for yourself. But how often do you actually take your own medicine and your own advice?
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you that question.
Great. I'm not going to answer it now, by the way. Guys, thank you very much. This is all about Power Hour. I hope you've enjoyed it. Jayne, thank you very much for being here again. And we look forward to sharing more videos in the future. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
Thank you.